Mr. Chair, you told us about all these wonderful business deals that were announced in the Middle East. It's reminiscent of the first year of the first term of Donald Trump, where he announced a $10 billion investment by Foxconn in Wisconsin. It is still an empty field. I am sure that the only deals announced in the Middle East that will actually happen were the bribery deals, the $400 million plane and the $2 billion Abu Dhabi will put into the cryptocurrency sponsored by Mr. Trump. TikTok. Mr. Secretary, you led the effort to say that it shouldn't be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. We passed a law with your help. That law requires that we ban TikTok now because all of the expiration dates have expired. But instead, we saw Chinese interests affiliated with TikTok transfer $300 million into the Trump coin, which is a pure gift. It's $300 million for nothing but monopoly money. And so there's a word in Mandarin for this. It's called bribery. And it raises the question that I'll ask you to respond to for the record, and that is there any statute this administration will not violate for a $300 million Chinese bribe? We next focus on USAID. Musk gutted it. He said no one died as a result. Do you agree that no one has died yet as a result of the chainsawing of USAID? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, the question is, has anyone what?
Has anyone in the world died because of what Elon Musk did?
Listen,
yes or no, reclaiming my time. If you won't answer, that's a loud answer.
No one has died because of USAID.
The people who have died as a
lie.
result of cutting off the oxygen of a woman in Burma and denying HIV/AIDS treatment to those in Africa. They are dead now at the hands of Elon Musk and his co-conspirators.
Chair now recognizes Representative.
Thank you, Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to get right into it. Secretary Rubio, I'm going to embrace my Jewish mother instincts for a moment. So as a mother, a senator, and a fellow human being, I can tell you that I'm not even mad anymore about your complicity in this administration's destruction of U.S. global leadership. I'm simply disappointed. And I wonder if you're proud of yourself in this moment when you go home to your family, because I've always found you, Senator Rubio, to be a bipartisan, pragmatic partner, a true believer that the U.S. is stronger when we lead with diplomacy and development. You have a strong record on this, but I don't recognize Secretary Rubio. A stalwart support of Israel, you've watched this administration abandon Saudi normalization with Israel in order to pursue business deals. You were once a fierce critic of Vladimir Putin, but you sat idly by as the president berated the elected leader of Ukraine for not capitulating to Russia. And worst of all, you've kneecapped foreign assistance, including programs that you previously championed and made America less safe, less strong, less prosperous in doing so. I know you know this in your heart, and I can't make this point any better than you did yourself in 2019 when you said, anybody who tells you that we can slash foreign aid and that will bring us to balance is lying to you. So with that, I'm just going to move on to my questions. Thank you. And I'm going to talk about international women's issues because during your time as senator, you were a champion of international women's issues. You helped introduce bills that would have codified the Department's Office of Global Women's Issues and Women's Global Development Prosperity Initiative. You supported several bills, including Senator Shaheen's bipartisan Women, Peace, and Security Act. During your confirmation hearing, you committed to me that you would support women's economic empowerment abroad. And at this year's International Women of Courage Award, you waxed poetically about the administration's support for women abroad. So help me understand how to square your past with your present. You're proposing the full elimination of the Office of Global Women's Issues. You've terminated hundreds of programs that help women and girls. You provided no guidance to the department on whether they should continue to implement the Women, Peace, and Security Act, and I'm still waiting to see your support for women's economic empowerment overseas. How can you dismiss the concerns of women around the world? Do you believe that the data shows that women's economic participation includes greater economic development worldwide, and that women's participation in peace negotiations guarantees longer outcomes. And I have a few questions, so I would respectfully ask for a yes or no. Don't you think that women's participation is important and allows for better outcomes?
This is not a game show. I'm not going to ask that with a yes or no. That's an important question. And I can answer it. We're not abandoning women's issues.
So do you believe the Office
don't
of
need
Global Women's Issues should be eliminated?
One thing is to eliminate an office. Another thing is to eliminate the function. The function will still exist. It'll be driven at the regional bureaus. So every one of our regions will have someone who's looking at and driving that issue, and right down to the embassy. It remains a priority. The same with the law that you outlined that I supported. This is going to be executed on, but it's going to be executed at the regional level and at the embassy level. And the reason why is because the challenges facing women in Africa are different than the challenges facing women in Central America,
And
which
I
are
have your
different than.
commitment that you're going to support women around the world, because without the women being able to be successful in their countries, I believe we can't have peace, stability, and our countries move forward.
Sure, and it remains part of our agenda. It's just going to be, the service is still going to be delivered, but it's going to be delivered at the regional and embassy
And when
level,
will we
not
see-
through a standalone office in Washington, D.C.
When will we see the reports on this and how this will be delivered?
Well, this is what we're engaged in with this committee now, which is our reorganization process. We've made an initial presentation to the committees. It's not final. We've received input through the comment period, including from our own building, but also from members of Congress on both sides, and meaning the House and Senate.
but when-
Now we'll come back to you based on all of that input on what we propose to be the final
Do you have a timeline of when
reorganization.
you'll come back? Because I don't want to see women left behind around the world, and I think you'd agree with me. But I'm going to turn on to Israel. If you can give us a timeline of when you're proposing to do this, that would be helpful, and we maybe come back and revisit it, Mr. Chairman. Do you have a timeline of when?
Sure, we're engaged now. I think we'll owe you a congressional notification here within the next few weeks, which is but all of that is being built on the comment period in which we've taken input from staff and members of this committee as well as in the House.
Thank you. Can I move on to Israel for a second? So the Office of Security Coordinator in Israel, the OSC, was established by President Bush in 2005. The OSC is widely respected, including by the IDF Central Command, for facilitating security coordination between the Palestinian Authority and the Israeli security forces, which has been crucial in preventing terrorist attacks against Israelis. However, it's reported that you plan, again, to eliminate OSC, which I believe, and many others, could lead to further destabilization in the West Bank and threaten Israel's security. So, Mr. Secretary, should the U.S. continue playing a role in facilitating successful security coordination between IDF and Palestinian security forces to safeguard Israeli lives? And if so, do you believe the State Department should continue to maintain the OSC and support it financially?
Yeah, there's news reports every day about things that aren't true. So the only thing that's been discussed about OSC is whether it should be brought under the authority of the ambassador and the embassy.
You're not proposing eliminating. Thank you. We'll move further on this discussion. With my minute left, I'm going to talk about vaccines abroad, because Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, we are so proud, has prevented nearly 19 million children's deaths since it was created by providing vaccines to 50 countries. Diseases, they don't know borders. So a small investment from the U.S. can save American lives by stopping outbreaks really before they reach our shores. You were previously a champion of global vaccines, twice leading resolutions in support of continued U.S. investments in these programs. So, Mr. Secretary, again, do you consider vaccines, including for malaria, Ebola, to be life-saving? Given Gavi's proven track record of saving lives, preventing global disease outbreaks that could reach our borders, will you commit to prioritizing continued U.S. support for Gavi?
But we haven't canceled U.S. support for malaria or any of these other communicable diseases and or vaccines. What we have, there are some individual programs that may have been canceled because they weren't being delivered in the appropriate way. All of these functions will continue. The difference now is the function will be happening under the Department of State, as opposed to a set-alone entity, which you had very little oversight over, by the way, in this committee, even though we tried in the years that I was on it with USAID. And I don't want to, I may respond to one point you made just because I'm curious. We have not abandoned Saudi normalization with Israel, as you pointed. The Saudis are the ones that have expressed their inability to move forward on it so long as the conflict is happening in Gaza. But we would love to see normalization.
You know, when it comes to the Saudis and normalization, and we can have this I'd be so happy to have you in my office or come to your office and talk about this. It was quite apparent on the last trip that the president was more interested in making business deals and trying to move forward peace in the region. It's not just about the business deal. There's a lot going on, and there is pressure to bear. But we did receive a list, I just want to say for the record, that showed Gavi was terminated. And so if you could send us something to show that it's turned back on, we'd be glad to see that. I know I'm over my time.
Senator Scott.
Representative Sherman.
We all miss Jerry Conley, and I do not think that he would want us to be passive in our questioning here today. Mr. Chairman, it's our job to oversee the State Department. You can't do that by having think tank witnesses come before us. Our job isn't to oversee the think tanks. In 2023, we had 44 government witnesses. This year, we have our first, and I hope very much that we have all the, not only the secretary, but the undersecretaries and assistant secretaries so that we can really do our job. Secretary Rubio, in the 1970s, there was a powerful Middle East monarch who claimed to be a friend of the United States, may very well have been, claimed to be at least agreeable to Israel. And so in the 1970s, we transferred enormous, sophisticated weapons to him. In 1979, the Shah was deposed, and all those weapons were in the hands of the Ayatollah. Today, MBS wants a nuclear weapon. But he says what he wants is a nuclear cooperation agreement. Well, we have a nuclear cooperation agreement with the United Arab Emirates and Turkey and Morocco that all provide for a gold standard of safety. Can you assure us that you will not enter into a nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia that does not have that same gold standard of security to make sure they're not building a nuclear weapon?
Well, first I will tell you that there has been no conversation about entering into one. For example, during the recent trip.
Can you, I've got limited time.
So here's the thing. I can
Sir,
tell you.
either give me a yes, give me a no.
Well, I'm going
let
to
me
give
go
you
on.
my answer if you want my answer.
I want a
this
yes
is not
or
a game
no.
show.
Reclaiming my time.
Well, reclaim your time, but it's not a game show. I get to answer. These are complex questions. Let me answer.
Mr. Secretary, I'm reclaiming my time.
I
The
don't know what that means.
filibustering takes place in the Senate, not here.
I'm not filibustering. I'm trying to answer your question.
You're trying. Let's go on to the next question. With regard to Iran, can you assure us that you will continue sanctions on Iran until they verifiably agree to abandon all enrichment? That's a yes or no question.
No, it's not.
Well, can you give me a yes or no, or should I go on to the next
We
question?
believe that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium. Correct.
You believe that it should? Yeah,
We believe that an acceptable deal with Iran is one in which they cannot enrich, because if they can enrich, they can weaponize.
I know why we don't want. I asked you, will we agree? Will we continue the sanctions until they verifiably agree to get rid of
Oh, you
the
have no
enrichments?
worry about us. The worry was the previous administration. This administration
Sir,
has
your
been
refusal to give me an answer is loud and clear.
No, well, I'd like
Is
to answer your
reclaiming
question.
my time. Mr. Chair, you told us about all these wonderful business deals that were announced in the Middle East. It's reminiscent of the first year of the first term of Donald Trump, where he announced a $10 billion investment by Foxconn in Wisconsin. It is still an empty field. I am sure that the only deals announced in the Middle East that will actually happen were the bribery deals, the $400 million plane and the $2 billion Abu Dhabi will put into the cryptocurrency sponsored by Mr. Trump. TikTok. Mr. Secretary, you led the effort to say that it shouldn't be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. We passed a law with your help. That law requires that we ban TikTok now because all of the expiration dates have expired. But instead, we saw Chinese interests affiliated with TikTok transfer $300 million into the Trump coin, which is a pure gift. It's $300 million for nothing but monopoly money. And so there's a word in Mandarin for this. It's called bribery. And it raises the question that I'll ask you to respond to for the record, and that is there any statute this administration will not violate for a $300 million Chinese bribe? We next focus on USAID. Musk gutted it. He said no one died as a result. Do you agree that no one has died yet as a result of the chainsawing of USAID? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, the question is, has anyone what?
Has anyone in the world died because of what Elon Musk did?
Listen.
Yes or no, reclaiming my time. If you won't answer, that's a loud answer.
No one has
What
died
up
because of
the
USAID.
people who have died
That's a
as a
lie.
result of cutting off the oxygen of a woman in Burma and denying HIV/AIDS treatment to those in Africa. They are dead now at the hands of Elon Musk
False.
and his co-conspirators.
Chair
I
now
yield back.
recognizes Representative